Hey everyone, I hope your Sunday is going really well. Also, your board examinations are quite near, so I hope your preparation is going well in that scenario. Before we begin, a quick introduction. My name is Aakash Singh. I am actually working as a software engineer for a US based startup right now. Now, my domain is actually artificial intelligence, so whatever we study in this session will be coming from a place of experience. So I hope you understand all of it. बट अगर आपको कभी भी कोई डिफिकल्टी आ रही है प्लीज़ डू नॉट हेजिटेट टू कमेंट अंडर एनी ऑफ माई वीडियोज़ और यू कैन ऑल्सो कॉन्टैक्ट मी ऑन इंस्टाग्राम. माई हैंडल इज़ Akash7.7. आई विल बी रिप्लाइंग टू यू देयर. अगर आपके पास टेलीग्राम चैनल का लिंक है यू कैन ऑल्सो कॉन्टैक्ट मी देयर बट आई एम नॉट वेरी एक्टिव सो यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट अ रिप्लाई a bit late. But anyways, let's begin with the session by talking about AI project cycle. Now in the previous two sessions हम लोगों ने project cycle देखा था. Now in a project cycle we had a couple of steps. First of all we defined the problem. फिर हम लोग थोड़ा data collect करते हैं. हम लोग data से कुछ inferences निकालते हैं data को explore करने के बाद. Then we create an AI model. Now after all these steps we need to understand कि जो हम लोगों ने AI मॉडल क्रिएट किया है वो एक्चुअली आप यूज़ कर सकते हो रियल लाइफ में या नहीं. सो उस पार्ट के लिए हम लोग इवेल्युएशन करते हैं AI मॉडल का. सो इन टुडेज सेशन विल बी लुकिंग एट टर्मिनोलॉजीज. कौन कौन से आपको वर्ड्स रिमेंबर रखने पड़ सकते हैं इवेल्युएशन चैप्टर के लिए. दे कैन गेट क्वाइट कन्फ्यूजिंग एट द बिगिनिंग बट इट वुड बी ग्रेट अगर आप 2-3 बार इसको रिवाइज करोगे. You will be able to understand each and everything. We will also look at confusion matrix and also evaluation methods. Now this topic is quite interesting because इसमें आपके सिर्फ formulas आने वाले हैं and most of them are direct application of formulas. So आपका पूरा chapter जो है 10 marks का आने वाला है आपके board examination में and with this session I think all 10 marks will be covered. Moving on to understand what evaluation is, as we discussed before, you need to test your AI model कि आपने AI model जो create किया है उसकी usefulness कितनी है. Is it accurate? Is it giving good results? So for that evaluation use किया जाता है. But how do we actually evaluate an AI model? What is the process in that? What are the steps that you need to take? So in order to evaluate any AI model, first of all we need to have some test data. Now think of it as this way. आप 10th स्टैंडर्ड में ऑलमोस्ट 1 ईयर से हो. यू हैव स्टडीड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स फ्रॉम योर सिलेबस. नाउ इन अपकमिंग मंथ्स यू विल हैव एन एग्जामिनेशन. यू कैन कंसिडर दैट एग्जामिनेशन एज इक्विवेलेंट टू इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ एन AI मॉडल. नाउ यू नो द सिलेबस बट ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपने जो क्वेश्चंस पढ़े हों एग्जैक्टली सेम क्वेश्चन आपको एग्जाम में आएंगे. इन अ सिमिलर वे अ टेस्ट डेटा इज डिफरेंट दैन ट्रेनिंग डेटा ऑफ एन AI मॉडल. जब आप AI मॉडल को टेस्ट डेटा फीड करते हो यू गेट सम आउटपुट फ्रॉम द मॉडल एंड देन यू ट्राई टू कंपेयर इट विद द एक्चुअल आंसर्स. इन दिस प्रोसेस मल्टीपल टेक्निक्स कैन बी यूज्ड डिपेंडिंग आप कौन से टाइप का AI मॉडल क्रिएट कर रहे हो. आप डेटा बेस्ड मॉडल क्रिएट कर रहे हो या फिर आप कंप्यूटर विजन बेस्ड मॉडल क्रिएट कर रहे हो और मे बी NLP बेस्ड मॉडल क्रिएट कर रहे हो. सो वन थिंग टू एक्चुअली रिमेंबर हियर इज जब भी आप किसी भी AI मॉडल को इवेल्युएट कर रहे हो it is not advisable to use the training data. The only reason for that is your AI model is very smart. अगर आपने उसको कोई डेटा फीड किया है ऑलरेडी जैसे ट्रेनिंग डेटा इट विल रिमेंबर ऑल द आंसर्स. अगर आप उसको टेस्ट करने के लिए भी सेम डेटा यूज करने लगोगे तो इट विल ऑलवेज प्रेडिक्ट द राइट आंसर. सो दैट्स व्हाई टेस्ट डेटा इज ऑलवेज डिफरेंट दैन द ट्रेनिंग डेटा. सो नाउ लेट्स बिगिन विद द टर्मिनोलॉजी ऑफ इवैल्यूएशन कि कौन कौन से टर्म्स आपको याद रखने पड़ेंगे. सो फॉर दैट पर्पस लेट्स अज्यूम दैट वी हैव एन AI मॉडल कॉल्ड BERT. हम लोगों ने नाम दिया है अपने AI मॉडल को BERT एंड विच हुज सोल जॉब इज टू प्रेडिक्ट कि एक जगह पर रेनफॉल हो रही है या फिर नहीं हो रही है. नाउ फॉर दैट पर्पस वी विल बी फीडिंग एन इमेज. एक इमेज फीड करी जाएगी BERT को एंड देन इट विल ट्राई टू प्रेडिक्ट if it's raining or not. So let's look at the first example. So this is your image जहाँ पर आपके मॉडल ने प्रेडिक्ट किया है yes that it's raining reality also is right कि बारिश हो रही है यहाँ पर. So the model is predicting a positive result. Do you agree with that? So this is the prediction. The prediction is also matching the reality. Now इसका जो prediction आया, it is actually right. It is matching with the reality. So that is the reason we call it true positive. Now, in order to clarify this, we have two terms. This is term 1 and this is term 2. Now, term 2 always tells us कि आपकी model ने predict क्या किया है. Model predicted yes. So that's why the second term is positive. If the model had predicted no, this term would have been negative. So we know about the second term now. But what about the first term? Now, first term can only have two values, either true or false. And it only depends on if your prediction is matching the reality. जैसे इस केस में आपका जो prediction है मॉडल का, it is matching with the actual reality. So we are taking it as true. But in cases जहाँ पर आपका जो prediction है वो match ही नहीं हो रहा है reality के साथ, over there we put it as false. So in order to understand it, let's take another example. So we have fed another image to Bert, and Bert said that no, it's not raining. Now this thing is also matching with the reality. So what should the final term be? The model predicts a negative result. So we write negative. Is the prediction matching with the reality? Yes, दोनों ने no predict किया. I mean आपकी model ने no predict किया, and in reality also it is no. So we say it is true negative. Another example where the model has predicted yes. Okay, so model predicted yes. So we know our second term would be positive. Is the prediction matching with the reality? No, it's not. So we say it is a false positive case. Similarly, there is one more case where the model predicted no, कि यहाँ पर बारिश नहीं हो रही है. We take it as negative. And is the prediction matching the reality? No, it is not. So it is a false negative. So these are the four terms that you need to remember while studying this chapter. Each of these terms tells us something about the prediction of the model. So just a quick practice. आपके examination में आपको ऐसा पूछा जाए कि the prediction was yes and the reality is also yes. What is the conclusion? So we look at this. The prediction is yes. So we say it is positive and they both match. So that's why it is true. Looking at the next one, we look at the prediction. The prediction is negative. Now, is the prediction matching with the reality? No, it's not. So that's why we write it as false. Similarly, in the next one, this is positive and their prediction and reality are actually matching. So that's why we can write true. Now this case and this case are similar. What about this one? Can you guess? So these are the conclusions from all these predictions and realities. Now you understand कि मॉडल कभी भी कुछ प्रेडिक्ट कर रहा है, आप उसको इनमें से एक कैटेगरी में फिट कर सकते हो. ट्रू पॉजिटिव, फॉल्स नेगेटिव एंड ट्रू नेगेटिव. So once we have studied this, once we know these terms, we can move on to confusion matrix. Now confusion matrix is nothing but a tabular form of all the terms we have studied till now. So it is just a comparison between what was predicted by the model and what is the actual reality. और उसको हम लोग एक टेबल में स्टोर करते हैं. So in that table, your columns are always for the reality and your rows are for prediction. How do we read this? So like this. So prediction में आपका yes और no है यहाँ पर, रियलिटी में भी आपका येस और नो है. सो प्रेडिक्शन is matching with the reality and prediction is yes. So this is true positive. Similarly, false positive, false negative, and true negative. So in examinations, you won't get something like this. इन सब वर्ड्स के बदले आपको कुछ numbers दिए जाएंगे like this. So what do these numbers represent? So let's take an example of BERT. It has given us 100 predictions. Now out of those 100 predictions, 20 are true positive, 40 are false negative, 20 are false positive and 20 are true negative. So जब भी हम लोग confusion matrix create करते हैं, we count the values of each of the classes. There are total 4 classes and उनका जो count है हम लोग इस table में store कर देते हैं. The reason it is called confusion matrix is because it is representative of how confused your model is in life. How confused it is to tell you कि something is right or something is wrong. So this actually tells us that model is very confused in cases of false negative and it is less confused in cases of false positive. It also tells us about the errors that the model is making and also what kind of errors it is making. कि वो correct prediction कर रहा है या फिर गलत prediction कर रहा है. So these are the terms which we observed today. Positive means the observation is positive. Negative means the observation is not positive. Quite easy. Then we looked at these terms: true positive, false negative, true negative, and false positive. A simple way to remember them is in two parts. Second part tells us what the model predicted. Over here, the model predicted yes. And true means it was matching with the reality. So this is how you can easily understand these terms. So once you have revised these terms, it might be that आप थोड़े confused हो at this point. Anyone would be in the beginning, even I was when I started learning this. But give it some time, maybe 2 iterations or 3 iterations, you will be very understanding of these concepts. So let's move on to the next part, जहाँ पर हम लोग actually evaluate करते हैं. Now this is a bit mathematical and quite easy also. You just have to remember the formulas and that's it. So accuracy is the most common form of metric which is generally used. Accuracy आपके class 10 boards के marks में वही metric use किया जाता है, accuracy. So let's start with that. It is actually the amount of correct predictions upon total predictions. It's like saying how many correct answers did you give out of the total questions, right? The percentage of correct predictions out of all the observations. When is a prediction said to be correct? Only when a prediction is matching with the reality. अगर आपकी reality yes है and आपका prediction भी yes है, then it means that it is correct. If your prediction is no and reality is also no, then you can say that the prediction was correct. All other cases, it means that your prediction is kind of incorrect. So writing this formula into this form is also very easy. So correct predictions कब कब हो सकती है? जब reality is yes and prediction is yes, which means true positive. No कब आता है? जब your prediction is negative and it is also matching with the reality on true negative. Upon all the other cases, TP plus TN plus false positives plus false negatives. Again, with practice, you will be able to understand all these terms very well. But for now, just understand कि accuracy होता क्या है. So accuracy part is quite easy. Let's move on to the next metric now. All right. So in accuracy हम लोग सारे के सारे predictions ले रहे थे. in the denominator. But in precision, we do not do that. We actually look at only the positive predictions, and it is defined as the percentage of true positive cases versus all the cases where the prediction is true. So it's like saying true positive cases upon all the cases where prediction is true, which means prediction positive hai, it can be true or it can be false. So this is the formula of precision. It only takes into account the true positives and false positives. Similarly, there is also another metric known as recall, जहाँ पर आप true positives लेते हो and false negatives लेते हो. We will solve a few questions so that you understand this in a better manner. But recall is defined as the ratio of correctly identified positive cases, which means we are talking about true positives, versus total number of positive examples, which means total number of positive reality. So positive reality कब कब हो सकती है? True positive and false negative. So there are three metrics which you need to remember. It's okay if you cannot remember these formulas immediately. Take some time, write it down on your notebooks, and eventually you will understand them. So let's have a look at a couple of questions which can be asked in your examinations. Which evaluation metric would be crucial in the following cases? Now we are talking about mail spamming. एक एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं. लेट्स से आपने जेई में अप्लाई किया और मे बी आपने नीट में अप्लाई किया and you get an email which is quite important about your admission. Now, what if that email is classified as not spam? It is completely fine. Spam वो classify नहीं हुआ है, then it's completely okay. But what happens if that email is classified as spam and वो आपके spam folder में चला जाएगा? You won't be able to access it. You won't even realize कि आपको ये ऐसा कोई email आया है. So the reason here we consider mail spamming, that false positive condition would have a very high cost. अगर आपने कोई important email को spam classify कर दिया, it means it will be very difficult for you to get into get into IITs or maybe some other colleges. So false positive condition would have a very high cost. It is very important कि आपका जो ये classification है ये एकदम correct हो. Similarly about gold mining, you can mine anywhere you want, but अगर आपके मॉडल ने प्रेडिक्ट किया कि आप कहाँ पर माइन कर सकते हो एंड आपने वहाँ पर खुदाई चालू कर दी एंड इवेंचुअली देयर इज़ नो गोल्ड देयर, सो आपके बहुत सारा पैसे वेस्ट हो जाएंगे, आपका बजट वेस्ट हो जाएगा. सो अगेन यहाँ पर फॉल्स पॉजिटिव prediction was positive but it is not matching with the reality. It is very costly. So in these cases we generally use precision. Why precision? Because हम लोग total positive cases consider कर रहे हैं इस पे upon true positive. Next is viral outbreak. So let's take an example of COVID. It will be completely okay if someone is tested positive even though he is not. But what would be a dangerous scenario? That someone has been tested negative and it is actually false, right? So in this case he or she can spread the virus to other people. That's why this case is very costly. यहाँ पर हम लोग recall यूज करते हैं. Right, so these are a couple of cases, these are a couple of scenarios जहाँ पर हम लोग precision, recall जैसी चीज़ें यूज कर सकते हैं. So there is one more metric which is known as F1 score. Now in some scenarios हो सकता है आपको false negative भी important हो, आपको false positive भी important हो. So for that specific purpose F1 score is designed which takes into consideration both the precision as well as the recall. So now this is the formula. ऐसे बोलते हैं 2 into precision into recall. upon precision plus recall, the value ranges between 0 and 1. बेसिकली हमारे जितने भी मेट्रिक्स हैं सबकी वैल्यूज ऑलवेज रेंज बिटवीन 0 and 1. सो हाउ डज F1 स्कोर लुक लाइक? अगर आपका प्रेसिजन लो है एंड आपका रिकॉल लो है, F1 स्कोर ऑटोमेटिकली बिकम्स लो. इफ योर प्रेसिजन इज लो एंड योर रिकॉल इज हाई, इवन देन F1 स्कोर इज लो. यहाँ पर हाई लो होगा तो भी आपका F1 स्कोर लो आएगा. तो ओनली सिनेरियो जहाँ पर आपका F1 स्कोर हाई आएगा इज व्हेन precision is also high and your recall is also high. So these were the 4 metrics which you need to study for your board point of view. In this chapter, this video is enough for your theory, but what I would suggest is practice a lot of questions. आपको बहुत सारे questions पूछे जा सकते हैं in order to calculate accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score. So for that purpose, let's just practice 1 or 2 questions before we end. All right, so this is the prediction row and this is the reality column. Reality is positive, reality is negative. यहाँ पर हमें क्या कैलकुलेट करना है? We need to calculate all the metrics. Metrics are accuracy, precision, recall and your F1 score. So there are many ways to solve this. Generally students remember the formulas, that's a good way. So let's start off by accuracy. I try to remember it using a simple approach. So accuracy is defined as true positive plus true negative, which is total 96 upon total, which is 96 plus 399 upon 104. Precision is this column, which is 0, this cell upon this entire row, which is 0 upon 3. Your recall would be again this cell upon this row, which is 0 upon 5. So similarly, if you try to calculate the F1 score, it is 2p into r upon p plus r. जहाँ पर दोनों ही वैल्यू अगर 0 आ गई है आपकी, तो this also becomes 0. So which means your model is not very accurate, क्योंकि आपका F1 score is quite low. It's 0. So looking at next question, जहाँ पर आपको again reality positive and reality negative. Again, we try to calculate the accuracy, precision, recall and F1 score. Alright, so again for accuracy, what do we do? 52 plus 3, which is 55 upon the sum of all the values, which is 105. So this would be your accuracy. Please don't keep it in the fraction format. Always convert into decimals. I won't be doing it here, but please remember that. So precision again is 52 upon sum of this row, so which is 101. Recall is 52 upon sum of this row. The recall value is quite high, and your finally F1 score becomes 2 into p into r upon p plus r. So there are very straightforward questions which can be asked from this chapter. Also there are other theory questions जो आपको पूछे जा सकते हैं, graphical questions भी पूछे जा सकते हैं. We will be studying those as well. You can look out for the upcoming videos very soon. And with this, I think we are finished with this chapter. This video did not take me a very long time to make. Our previous video was about NLP, and in 2 days I came up with this. Anyways, if you liked the video, please do not show that to the video by pressing the like button. If you have any doubts, any comments, please feel free to comment under the video. Also, I'll be very happy if you subscribe to the channel if you have this subject AI 417. All the best for your boards. I'll be coming up with more videos soon for you. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Till then, stay awesome. Bye bye.